Hey everyone, this is Zaparzonians from Noble Desktop. This is the second part of our two-part series, Tricks of the Trade, Tips and Tricks from Adobe After Effects. So yeah, if you haven't seen our first half, we'll link that below in the description. Either way, let's get started. Alright, looping. So, I'm going to actually go back to our shape layer here. You see I've made the square. And I have it animated so that it basically goes from one point to another. Now, I've typed in an expression here, so you're going to hit Alt on the stopwatch, and you're going to type in LoopOut. The program will want to finish that for you, so, by all means. And what that's going to do is that if I continue playing the animation, and my computer loads, you'll see that it's looping that animation for me. Now, there's different kinds of loops. I could put in ping pong. That'll be a different one. Ping pong makes it go back and forth, back and forth. Now, for a more in-depth look at loops, we have a full tutorial on that. I believe it's under the name Looping Expressions. Pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, that's like a quick version of it. There's all sorts of different kinds of loops, so, check that out. Alright, quick pan. So let's say I've got my select tool selected, and I want to move around my interface. So you hold down spacebar, and it allows you to click and drag, and you can pop right back to whatever tool you were using beforehand without committing to that tool. So yeah, that'll work for like the pan tool, it'll work for the pen tool. I'm holding down G for the pen tool. I let go, no longer using the pen tool. This won't work if you have like rotoscope on, but for the most part, it'll work in most interfaces. Zooming in and out. So to zoom out, you hit comma on your keyboard. Zoom in is period, so that's a good one. So I'm going to be using a different project for this one just because I need something with vector Illustrator files in it. This is another one for our social media accounts. This is for a Gaussian blur tutorial. Let me hide some of these textures. So I'm going to go over to one of my vector layers here. I'm actually going to zoom in. So I want you to pay attention to like the mouth and the glasses over here. And you can see they're like a little raggedy, a little bit. Don't pay attention to like the big line around the head. That's raggedy on purpose. But the mouth in particular, I want you to look at. So it's a bit like sharper on the edges, some of the stuff. Now if you can't see these switches, you want to hit toggle switches and modes till you see like these little icons. And the continuously rasterize button is this little sun over here. Now it works differently on two different kinds of layers. Now for Illustrator, like vector, vector files, if I hit this, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be continuously cleaning up and displaying my vector in high definition. Now the thing about that is, while that in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing, it does take up a lot of memory. So, it's good for like a preview if you want to know what it's going to look like at the very end. But yeah, if you keep an eye out, you can see that it is smoothing out some of my edges here. Yeah, little alien's getting a little smoother. And now for its other use for 3D layers, which we have a tutorial on that. And so this animation here is part of our 3D series. After Effects does have 3D capabilities. So yeah, check out that series as well. And so this pizza box is made using After Effects' 3D or 2.5D, if you will, capabilities. So the pizza, this red layer over here, is that 3D layer. Now, if you have this switched on a collection of 3D layers, it collapses all those transformations. Now you can see it animates, but it doesn't carry over the 3D qualities of that particular project. All right, back to our hummingbird. We're almost done. So I'm going to show you how to export alpha channel. Sorry about that. Which basically means exporting with transparency. Now, let's say I don't want my background here. I'm going to click it off. It's just going to be this black background. Now, if you want to know it's transparent in After Effects, you can hit this over here. You see this? Right at the bottom of the comp window, it's the toggle transparency grid. Everything that's checkered is going to be transparent, which means if I put this animation over a different background, that background will then show. Now, there's a few file formats that support transparency. First things first, let's go to composition. I'm gonna go to composition, add to Adobe Media encoder queue. Now over here, I'm going to click the format. All right, now that I've got my settings open here, I'm going to select PNG as my format, and I'm going to select PNG with alpha. Now there are different presets, different formats that support transparency, so I would recommend looking up a list. People compile them here and there. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to get this to render. All right, now back in After Effects, I'm going to import my latest. So I chose PNG sequence, so it's going to come out at like all these individual frames, and then you hit PNG sequence when you're importing it. If you exported it differently, it's not going to be a big deal. All right, let's turn that back on so you can see, and I have transparency in our new export. Now lastly, let me show you how to export a single frame. So we're going to go to Composition, Save Frame As, File, Output Module. I'm going to keep it as Photoshop, and I'm going to just hit Render. You can find the output within your project file. That's all for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed learning these tricks of the trade in Adobe After Effects. If you haven't seen part 1, we will try to remember to link it below. And yeah, if you have any suggestions, any questions, please let us know in the comments. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok as well. You can comment there. And if you actually sign up as a student within one of our programs, you have access to our Discord where you can ask instructors directly. I'm on there as well, so you can @ me. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you have any motion graphics projects that you're working on. This has been Rasterizing for Noble